He's the man, the disruptor, and the Mars-obsessed billionaire. Electric cars, rockets, brain chips, tunnels, AI, even social media. Elon Musk takes on industries most people won't dare to touch. And while his ideas often seem outrageous at first, they somehow end up changing the world. He's far from perfect. He picks fights online, makes wild decisions, and stirs plenty of controversy. But he also creates like no one else. Through Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, the Boring Company, XAI, and X, he's shaping a future that looks radically different from present. And that's exactly why we are here. To break it down, make sense of it, and maybe even spark a little inspiration. Welcome to Elon Fortnightly, where every fortnight we explore what is good, what is bad, and what's weird in Elon's world, and why it matters. But before we dive into his companies, we need to understand the man himself. That's what episode 1 is all about. So buckle up, and if you enjoy the ride, stick around and support the channel. Elon Reeve Musk was born in Pretoria, South Africa in 1971. A shy, bookish child, he spent hours buried in science fiction novels and even read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica by age 9. At 10, he taught himself programming on a Commodore VIC-20. By 12, he sold his first video game, Blaster, for $500.
From the age of 3, I thought he was a genius. He would reason with me, and his reasoning was sensible. And how do you even do that when you don't really have much experience? I wanted him to go to nursery school. They said, well, he makes it by 2 days, but you really should keep him back a year because otherwise he'll be a little socially challenged. And I said, you don't understand. I have a genius son. He needs to talk to someone besides me. And of course they rolled their eyes because every mother thinks their child is a genius.
Elon left South Africa, studied in Canada and US, and then jumped into the internet boom. He sold Zip2 and then PayPal, walking away with $180 million US. Most would retire. Elon, he bets it all on rockets. 3 failed SpaceX launches nearly ruined him until one final attempt worked. NASA stepped in with a $1.6 billion contract. And SpaceX went further, building rockets that launch, land, and fly again, changing space travel forever.
And to give you a concrete example, when he decides that he wants to send people into space as a young guy, at first he goes to Russia to see if he can buy used rockets. And they jack him around. It doesn't work. And on the plane flight home, he says, let me go to first principles thinking. Exactly how much is the cost of each material in a rocket? How much is the Inconel? How much is the carbon fiber? How much is the fuel? And then how much is the total cost of a rocket compared to the cost of each of the components? And that's first principles thinking, which is, I get it. If I know the material cost, but if I can reduce by a factor of 10 the manufacturing cost, then I can make a rocket.
When Elon joined Tesla in 2004, electric cars were a joke. But then came the Roadster, fast, the Model S, luxury, the Model 3, mainstream, and Model Y, it ended up becoming the world's best-selling car in 2023. But Musk isn't stopping at cars. From self-driving robotaxis to humanoid robots, Tesla is pushing beyond imagination. From near bankruptcy to a $1 trillion giant, Musk has bet everything on Tesla's future.
You know, in 2018 and 19, many people, as Elon was discussing and describing production hell for the Model 3, many people thought the company would go bankrupt. And yet we knew that if Elon Musk could create a reusable rocket that could land on a barge in the water, he would be able to figure out how to produce at scale the Model 3. That was, to us, a simple conclusion. Now, as in hindsight, as we're learning from Tesla, production hell, and they themselves were worried. That's why Elon slept on the floor in the production factory and just became maniacally involved, which is how he works.
When Elon was building both Tesla and SpaceX in the 2000s, I mean, people thought, he was just really, really crazy. Even a lot of those of us who'd worked with him at PayPal, there was this PayPal book that David Sachs and I thought of writing, and the Elon chapter was, I think, entitled something like "The Man Who Knew Nothing About Risk," or something like this. And there are all these sort of crazy Elon stories I could tell. If one of the two companies had succeeded, you would say, well, maybe he still got really lucky. But when 2 out of 2 companies that people thought were completely harebrained in the 2000s, when they both succeed, man, you have to somehow reassess it, and somehow the rest of us somehow are too risk averse, or there's something about risk he knows that we don't, or something like this.
But Elon is nothing if not controversial. He speaks his mind, breaks the rules, and does what he wants. No matter the place, no matter the time. Some see him as reckless, others find him fearless.
Or is it a cigar?
No,
Okay.
it's marijuana
It's weed.
inside of tobacco.
Oh, okay. So it's like pot tobacco
Yeah,
posh.
you never had that?
Yeah, I think I tried one once.
Come on, man. You want some of that? You probably can't because stockholders, right?
I mean, it's legal, right?
It's totally legal.
Okay.
How does that work? Do people get upset at you if you do certain things? There's tobacco and marijuana in there. That's all it is.
Leaving, we talked to Bob Iger
I hope
today.
they stop.
You hope
Don't advertise.
you don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go yourself.
But
Go yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Elon Musk had quite an unusual childhood that shaped the way he thinks and builds today.
It certainly is true that a lot of really driven people are driven because they're harnessing the demons of their childhood. Even Barack Obama's sentence in his memoirs, which is, I think every successful man is either trying to live up to the expectations of his father or live down the sins of his father. And for Elon, it's especially true because he had both a violent and difficult childhood and a very psychologically problematic father. He's got those demons dancing around in his head. And by harnessing them, it's part of the reason that he does riskier, more adventurous, wilder things than maybe I would ever do.
While he was a little boy, he grew up in a very violent home. Like, for example, when I always had to drive the car and he would be punching me and Elon would be between the seats hitting his father to stop him punching me. When he would be at home and punching me, Kimball and Tosca would be crying in the corner because they were really babies. Elon was 5, Kimball 4, Tosca 3. Elon would be hitting his dad at the back of his legs.
When Elon got bullied on the playground and one day was pushed down some concrete steps and had his face pummeled so badly that Kimball said, I couldn't really recognize him. And he was in the hospital for almost a week. But when he came home, Elon had to stand in front of his father, and his father berated him for more than an hour and said he was stupid and took the side of the person who had beaten him. And at one point, he was scrawny. He has very bad at picking up social cues and emotional cues. He talks about being Asperger's. And so he gets traumatized at a camp like that. But the second time he went, he'd gotten bigger. He had shot up to almost 6 feet, and he'd learned a little bit of judo. And he realized that if he was getting beaten up, he might it might hurt him, but he would just punch the person in the nose as hard as possible. So that sense of always punching back has also been ingrained in Elon.
When Musk took over Twitter, he slashed nearly 80% of the workforce. To many, he looked ruthless and cold, but the truth is more complex. Musk can be raw, emotional, even pure in his vision. And that clash between ruthlessness and emotion is what defines Elon Musk.
The bad Christmas is he'd forgotten to get me a Christmas present. We were in Boulder, Colorado, so there's loads and loads of snow. And we were in bed, and he said, I do, you know, he's not that I don't love you, I do really, really love you. He's just, it's like, you know, my brain is exploding. And I was like, no, I know, it's fine. And he sort of got up in the middle of the night and disappeared. I was like, where has he gone? And he came back 2 hours later, and he'd gone outside in his t-shirt and shorts, barefoot, and he'd gone and like dug through the snow and picked flowers. Like he'd walked all over Boulder and like came back with a little bouquet of picked flowers. And he was like, I just wanted to show you how much I loved you. Has a kind of innocence to him. What I mean by that is that he feels with incredible purity the emotion that he is feeling at the time, whatever that emotion is. He feels things very, very deeply. So, you know, I've heard it said that he's cold and emotionless, and that could not be further from the truth. He is the most emotional person I know.
Elon's another company, Neuralink, connects the brain to a computer, letting patients move a cursor, play games, even talk, using only their thoughts. For many, it's not just technology. It's the return of freedom and dignity once thought lost.
How many people who are paralyzed don't have to be paralyzed anymore? How many people with disabilities, ALS or Alzheimer's or any of these who are blind, how many people are going to be able to live their lives again?
Elon has been hailed as a genius engineer. He may lack empathy and can bite off more than he can chew. But beyond the headlines, the real question is what truly drives Elon Musk.
Just probably the most deeply ingrained thing in him is his mission. He joked at one point to me about how much he loved reading comics as a kid. And he said, all the people in the comic books, they're trying to save the world, but they're wearing their underpants on the outside and they look ridiculous. And then he paused and said, but they are trying to save the world. And whether it's Starlink in Ukraine or Starship going to Mars or trying to get a global new Tesla, I think he's got this epic sense of the role he's going to play in helping humanity on big things. And like the characters in the comic books, it's sometimes ridiculous, but it also is sometimes true.
I think he's the Thomas Edison of our age in terms of his innovative ingenuity. And I also think, having met him a number of times, I think he's a very good person. He wants to do the right thing. If I had to say one thing, he wants to do the right thing to transform the lot of most of humanity.
I hope you liked the episode. Please do follow the channel for more.